Over the course of this video series, I've tried to keep the focus on the boating, the route we followed, the sights and places along the way. This 37-year-old boat has performed very well, but we've had to do a little work here and there. This section will deal with that work divided into two groups: repairs that we have had to do and upgrades that we chose to do. The first repair was shown in one of our first videos of this trip, and that was the replacement of our house battery bank. If I had tested the batteries before the trip, I would have found the problem and replaced them before we started out. So this item is only on the list because I didn't check them like I should have. The second repair was the replacement of the tub shower faucet in the aft head. It was the original faucet, and all it really needed was a new rubber seal inside. But being Chinese and 37 years old, no parts were available. Next was the VHF radio at the upper helm. The problem was the push-to-talk button on the microphone. I would have just replaced the microphone, but it was hardwired into the radio, so I had to replace the whole. We developed a small but persistent oil leak, which I traced to a leaking oil pressure sending unit. That was an easy repair. We also developed a fuel leak. This was traced back to a fuel damper that is part of the fuel injection pump. This was also a fairly easy repair. It should be noted here that both the oil leak and the fuel leak resulted in the engine fluids leaking into the bilge. It would be irresponsible, not to mention illegal, to just pump this stuff overboard. We had to shut off our automatic bilge pumps, buy a wet-dry vacuum, and two 5-gallon fuel jugs. I then used the vacuum to suck up all the liquid from the bilge and dump it into the fuel jugs. Final bilge cleanup was done with paper towels and soapy water. We kept the bilge water on board until we could dispose of it at a municipal facility in Punta Gorda. Repairing the leaks was easy. Cleaning up the mess was the real work. The last repair on this list is an engine part that apparently had been missing for years, but we didn't realize it until I was searching for the fuel leak. The missing part was a hard fiber spacer that was supposed to be inserted into the drive coupling for our raw water pump. I noticed a gap between the two halves of the drive coupling. This didn't seem right to me, so I did some research and found that there was a part missing. There was no old one lying in the bilge, so I can only conclude that someone had worked on the coupling assembly at some previous time and just left the spacer out. In any case, the drive coupling assembly is now as it should be. As for the upgrades, the biggest item was the isolation transformer we installed back in episode 14. Without getting into excruciating detail about electrical codes and the function of inverters and chargers, there is a new, more stringent electrical code that affects marinas. Any marina that has upgraded its power pedestals to the new standard will start having problems with boats tripping the pedestal breakers. In some cases, the boat has an undiagnosed wiring problem. In our case, we had no wiring issues, but a safety device in our inverter charger was not compatible with the new, more sensitive pedestals. We would have to either replace our inverter and charger or install an isolation transformer. We opted for the isolation transformer. It was an expensive but easy fix. We've had zero problems with shore power since we installed it. Most of our interior lights have already been upgraded to LED, but the lights over the mirror and the aft head were still old-fashioned 12-volt fluorescent lights, and one of them didn't work. I felt like I was shaving in the dark, so I spent a whole $26 on two new lights, which do a great job. The boat came with two 12-volt oscillating fans in the salon. One worked but was noisy. The other one didn't work at all. We never used them, so we didn't worry about it. On this trip, we found ourselves wanting some extra cooling, so I bought two new ones at the ship's store at Green Turtle Bay and installed them. Until this trip, I've always navigated using a single 10-inch Android tablet running Navionics. Because I wanted close-up details of depth channel markers, and shoals. I had the plotter view zoomed in. Doing this, I lost the ability to see the bigger picture of where we were going. My solution was to add a second tablet, also running Navionics, but zoomed out to give me the bigger view. It's been a big improvement, and the tablets are cheap. We now conclude this boring technical video and return to the boating, scenery, and tiki bars.